So hello everyone, Myrmonden here, and welcome to my review of my Iida Season 2, Episode 11. I thought it was a pretty good episode. It wasn't the best episode, but a pretty good episode. And the first thing to talk about as a match of my life is that they kept the pacing, which I really liked. But then I thought about like, actually, maybe they shouldn't have kept the pacing. The thing is that it's really good that they're keeping the pacing with the battle. So we see the power levels of the same and so on in the manga, because a lot of other, especially shonen anime, right? Naruto comes to mind, especially, but also One Piece. They do this thing with like, oh, here this person is gonna fight this person, right? And in the manga, it's like that, and it's out, right? Because this guy is like super weak or super strong, so right? And they have this that dispersion between the power level is so extreme, and they showed in the manga by just doing the warfare, like one punch you out, and yeah, you're supposed to be a strong guy, but now punch you out, so I'm much stronger, right? And they do that thing, and then they just show you that this new character or like this interaction here is like whatever, this guy's so big, so much better and so on. But here, a lot of times then in most shonen, right, when it comes to the anime, they do this thing, they get to that battle, and then it's like, yeah, there's a full episode about that. Like that's typical Naruto. Like this is a full episode about this battle, right? That makes no sense because it's supposed to be that one guy is like 10 times stronger than the other guy, right? Or like this power counters this power, so you shouldn't be able to really fight and actually progress with that, right? So I found that really good in the episode actually. That they just said, okay, we're just gonna keep the manga pacing. I don't know exactly how the manga doing that, but I guess the manga only shows like 1-2 pages per battle, like between Bakugo Kisha for a little longer, Iida and Rock for a little longer as well. But like Iida versus the Wood Wine Girl, that's like probably like 1 or 2 pages to max the manga, right? And they kind of kept that, so that was good. He's gentle pushes her out, but that was a great scene. And of course also see like Bakugo versus Todoroki, versus Toriyami. And that's like he's supposed to be really strong, but also his power, the explosion counters him, and so kind of quickly and so on, right? And that's pretty good. However, though, he beats, of course, Alien Queen in like 1 second, right? That's probably like 1 page in the manga. So I like that they kept it. But at the same time, though, this episode did feel a little slow on like the All Might and Deku part. That's a little too pacing there, or like too much talking there, a little too slow, kind of like, oh, Deku, you can do it. So it feels like they kind of could have had a little longer battles instead of that, right? So it's hard to say. I mean, I love that they didn't go like freaking half episode per battle or something, because obviously then we would never actually get to the next story. And also, as I say again, then important thing is they kept the canon strength levels, right? Because, for example, let's say Alien Queen actually put up a fight instead in the anime, even though she will lose without hurting like Toriyami, actually hurting him, that would feel different probably in the manga. So in the manga he's like, you're out, right? In the anime, you're out. So that's great, right? They kept that feeling of the superiority in quirks still, right? So we know they're the same strength though. So that is great. And yeah, most of the battles were pretty nice. They were a little too one-sided though. I mean, it should be one-sided. But it's a little weird episode, right? Because all the battles are like one-sided. It's a little weird episode because every battle is one-sided. It's like, okay, this guy, okay, he can just speed her out. Okay, this guy can just push her out. This guy can just throw this guy out. They're like, no one is taking like any damage. The only one that felt like a little tension is like Todoroki versus Iida. But of course, it's like, it throws you and you're out. And they all do feel kind of like that, right? And it's a little weird how little it feels that they actually are, engaging in the actual battles, right? And I mean, I think it's kind of obvious. I think that was the first time I read about this years back, and like when I watched anime, I think it's a little too obvious who's gonna be in the final, right? Because it's kind of like Deku has one main rival, Bakugo, and so another rival he lost to Todoroki. Obviously, they're gonna fight each other. That it makes sense. They have the strongest quirk and so on. So you kind of know they're gonna end up in the final, right? So in one way, it's really good that you just like punching the other guys so easily. But at the same time, some other battles kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, there's like no tension on it, right? So this is both a good thing and a bad thing. It's very interesting about it. The more I think about it, the more perplexed I am, because it's quite good actually that they just did this. Like, okay, out with them, right? But at the same time, you really don't feel. I think the problem is that when they don't do that, yeah, it's a little. Not thinking about it, it's a little. Like double standard the whole thing, right? Because we know that it's so easy for them to win, pretty much like all the battles are so easy to win. So when they suddenly do this like Todoroki versus Iida thing, and Iida has a longer battle, and also Kirishima, there were longer battles. That feels a little like, really? Because they're supposed to also be like one-shot, right? In a way. So, because there is no real tension here. Like, we know that Bakugo's gonna win, so you don't really care that much about that actual battle, right? I think that's a big thing about it. However, though, Iida does have other parts, so he has a little more chance having a battle there, of course, than losing and before and so on. I suppose. Let's talk about that then, right? So they finally showed Stain, one of my absolute favorite characters. I really like his design, Stain. Like his character, you're gonna love him, man and woman. You're gonna love him. He's a great character, or hate him. I mean, you're gonna hate to love him, right? He's a very interesting character, very motivated character, but also very just like his design. The little we saw this episode, like, it's a great design, I think. For me, he has a very much like a turtle design. If you go read the classic old turtle from the 80s and 80s, yeah, mid 80s, and that's somewhat also even from the TV show, but. He has this kind of thing to me, with the kind of clothing against the weapons on his back and so on, like a splint, shredder feel to it, I would say, and I like that. I like that because obviously this manga is taking a lot of inspiration from Western comics, right? So mutants, obviously X-Men primarily, but also generally Marvel and so on. So Turtles being on other reference block there feels that makes sense to me, and obviously we see him really beating Iida's brother. And he gets a call after that, and and that's that thing. And that's kind of it's a little sad, obviously. But at the same time, I do feel it do it. It sounds like it's too melodramatic, poetic melody there, where it's like on the same time as he's getting frozen. So that's what that's it. That this is longer than the parts. Makes complete sense. And he's getting frozen, losing to the Rocky. On the same time, his brother is getting like cut up in pieces by Stain. Right, you kind of see that feeling. It's also too much like on the same time. It's a little cheap. I feel. I think it's okay, but I do feel it's a little cheap actually because it's kind of like so on the exact same time pretty much as this guy is fighting. His big older brother, his idol older brother, also had a fight and lost. Both of them lost at the same time, and like. Can't get to his brother on the phone and so on. So that's a little weird. I just think it's too nice, Iida, if you ask me. I'm not saying it would be better if they did like, okay, let's have Iida, he's gonna fight with Rocky, and then he gets the focus from his mother and says, your brother is in an accident, or like he lost a fight and he's injured and so on. Then he still says, I have to go and do this tournament now. I think this is a lost opportunity there, if you ask me, in my opinion at least, because it feels like I think it's a little too easy on Iida there. Like he just lost, right? He was out of the tournament, and then he gets a phone call. So it's like luck in bad luck there. I think it would be more interesting, way more interesting. That could have been a definitely whole chapter about that, but like it would be way more interesting if he actually had, of course. Got the news and then has to keep fighting after getting the news, and of course then being like, oh shit, my brother is injured, occupied mind. Oh shit, my anger got frozen. Like, oh shit, my anger got frozen because I was thinking about my brother. Not Rocky won. Rocky will win anyway, but it feels like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it depends what they want, I guess. Like, it really feels like he want to also show that Rocky is really strong. So you just want to give that to Iida. So it's like, yeah, whatever, just to Rocky own him and then let's move on. Which is okay. But it feels like that could have been a more interesting position here, right? Because now, obviously, we see in the next episode, Iida's going to go there to his brother on hospital, something like that, and he's going to go away from the tournament. But he's out anyway. So there's no, like, conflicting struggle there for him to be like, should I stay in the tournament because it's really important to me to get my hero career for my brother? Or, should I leave and, like, help my brother and my mother and so on, right? Should I do that or should I do this? And but they actually don't give it at all. It's just gonna be like, oh, I can leave. Like, yeah, it's like I can leave and I just lost. So I think actually it's a very lost opportunity there because Iida, to me, doesn't have much character development. It's gonna have a little. He had a little here in this arc, right? But it's like he doesn't join up with Deku and Uraka. It's like, no, I have to fight myself. I have to become the best myself. So he has a little character development, but I feel like he could have a lot of character development here. From that, or like conflicting struggles, and like should I do this, and so on, right? Instead, I guess it's kind of melodramatic sad there that he lost exactly at the same time, and I was calling about it before. It's like you see my battle brother, like Nissan, you see my fights, I'm gonna win, and then I can't even call him, and so it's a little like I don't know. It feels like it's kind of like a very shallow and forced sadness. Something. It's hard to define, right? It just feels kind of weird. But anyway, we see Stain, of course, as I catch at the end there, and he meets up with the warping guy, right? Which I also can't remember his name right now at all. From the Wheels of Evil, right? The Evil League guys, and that's interesting. There's going to be something very, very interesting how he interacts with them and so on. He's saying he's a very good character actually, and I think it's going to be like related. I don't know really if he had more focus right now, but obviously in the last episode of season 1, you do see Stain standing on like one of those like rooftop I don't know, satellite things or whatever they point up in the house or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I should be evil now, you know, it's doing that sword thing, like, or like something like that. Or maybe it's hulking over. Something like that, yeah, he's doing hulking, right? The tongue's like, yeah, and he eats blood and so on, right there. He's doing that thing, right? Like he did that this time, before he shows up there. So, obviously, they have definitely, like, foreshadowed him for, like, freaking a year now. So you finally get to see him, and I'm like, yeah. But I don't know, like, so on the same time, I was like, because I'm not a blind reactor, I was like, well, here's Stain, like, and it felt like they actually didn't do. I think they actually didn't do justice too much to him, because he kind of had this as a big black shadow with red eyes 2 times before we saw him in his real form, and that to me it was kind of took me for like a loop there, because I was kind of like, okay, are you spending this time and still foreshadowing him? That's fine for me. I'm like, yeah, it must be Stain. It's like then suddenly you show him anyway when it's like, yeah, eating blood. That was kind of weird. I thought that they could have shown him as his full form. All of the times instead, because it was like whatever. If you're gonna show him in the same episode, if it was the next episode, that would be fine. But the same episode that it showed him now is the one that have 2 of these like black red shadow things, and that felt a little weird to me. I think that, and I felt that I was more live reaction. I was like, I wasn't super excited about that. I was like, yeah, okay, like, you know, yeah, because like I know it's gonna be Stain because I read the manga, right? And I was like, meh, still she used this shadow thing on him, and then it's like, yeah, no, it's here. It's like, so that felt kind of like, and I didn't expect that, and I was like, no, it's here actually. Anyway, a pretty good episode, I feel. I found it very interesting how they kept the pacing, but on the same time, maybe they could have some more pacing. I don't know, yeah, and it's like back and forth, right? Because sometimes maybe should have a little more. I do have said that the first 8 or so minutes are a little slow, right? Because it's kind of like, I think one problem there, I'm nitpicking now, but I think one problem there is that it's kind of the same thing again there with Deku and All Might like giving a speech. It's like, yeah, morale or something. It's a little same thing we see in like every 5th episode or so. And I'm reading the manga currently, and they kind of do it again. It's still right, pretty much. Like every now and then, it's like time for an All Might speech, right? And it's kind of like, I don't know. It's a little unnecessary. So that problem is there, definitely. But anyway, I think the episode was decently good, but it's very interesting. I think the Iida part is very interesting, because that's like there could have been a huge difference there, as I mentioned, if he had shown him before the battle, and then it would be a way different interaction, right, between Iida and Todoroki. The whole battle could have been way outlaid in his mind at least, right? But yeah, and anyway, see you guys next week, and have a great day.